Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We're on the United show today, Devil's Advocate. And today, we are joined by very special guests here today for a massive Manchester United versus Spurs preview here today on the United show. And so today, to the right of me, we are joined by Sal from the Stretford Post YouTube channel. And below me, we are joined by Mr. Shane Dowley from the Devil's Advocate show, as always. And also, in a couple of moments, we'll be joined by Tottenham fan also and host of Tipperary Host Radio, Steve McGrath. So we have a lot to talk about here tonight with regards to Manchester United and to Tottenham. So I suppose just before we kind of reflect on last night's game, Sal, obviously you're from the Stretford Post YouTube channel. Many people would know you from that YouTube channel. Just talk to our viewers kind of just about your own channel and kind of when you started that.
I started it around 2018. Just for fun, really, just to talk about football, have a bit of banter. That's it. And recently, I've just been putting more time into it and getting some interviews done and just trying to, just enjoy it and talk about football, what we love,
Yeah, absolutely. And look, like it's always good to talk about your football club, and especially like when you look at these days during a lockdown period where none of us can go to football games, none of us can even go to the pub and talk to fellow fans and stuff like that. So like what I have seen over the last kind of like 12 months, and like I've been a part of it too, is where there's been a lot more YouTube channels, a lot more fan channels. There's been more inceptions of them in the last 12 months because obviously the facility for us not to go to games and other stuff like that is gone. So it's good to see what you're doing. And, look, I'm all for people getting out there, getting their voice heard and other fans interacting with each other. So look, absolutely, it's great to see. Guys, obviously last night, big Europa League quarter-final, first leg fixture against Granada. Again, massive game kind of for United in terms of helping us try to get our first trophy under Solskjaer. 2-0 win, professional performance. All I could say really wasn't probably the most entertaining game you're probably going to see all season, but it was a job done, and we have 1 foot into the next round with a potential draw against Roma or Ajax. Sal, I'll come to you, but first, what was your overall thoughts on last night's game?
It's totally what I expected. I expected Granada to play the low block, and I expected the game to be tight. The thing is, all right, in these sort of games, you can't take them for granted, and Granada have beaten Napoli this season. They've done bits this season. They've been doing well this season, and you can't rule them out. We won 2-0 in Europe. It's a decent result, you know what I mean? And well, we got 1 foot in the semi-final, and if we have a good record against Roma, there's no reason why we can't reach the final. I think it's happy days, because if we win the Europa League and come second in the league, then you can't complain, really, can you?
Yeah, like I think when you look at it, when you look at overall progress, because as fans, that's what we want to see. We want to see more progression season on season, because obviously it's been sold to us as a transitional period, which is fair enough. So I think for us, obviously cementing second place is massively important. And I think for the younger players in the squad, the Rashfords, the Greenwoods, of the world, players like that, haven't won many trophies in their career. For them to win this Europa League is a good springboard to give them that more hunger to win the bigger trophies. Obviously, FA Cups, the Premier League, so trophies like that mean more. So I think for me, win this Europa League is massively important. And again, as you said, Granada, on paper, people say United should be putting them away, but this is a team that beat Napoli 2-0 in the Europa League this season, and it's a team who sit the low block. Again, that's what we have difficulty against. And it was away from home in Europe. Again, if you actually look at United's record in Spain, it isn't great. Traditionally in the away fixtures. So again, whereas look, it wasn't the most entertaining game in the world. I'll open up. I'll admit that straight out. It wasn't. But at the end of the day, you get the job done. You bring it back to Old Trafford with the job 3/4 done, and you just put the game to bed. Obviously, Granada now will have to open up in the next leg, and you'd imagine we'd pick up obviously hit him on the counter and pick up where we left off in terms of that. I think will it be a much more comfortable leg. And come the second leg at Old Trafford, even though we are missing 1 or 2, but in them key positions we do have depth there, so I'm not worried about that in that respect. And Shane, how are you feeling about last night's game? Obviously there was talk of Luke Shaw going off injured. Now, Ollie said today, fingers crossed, that he's going to be available for Sunday. Alex Telles came on and actually looked like he was a bit of a bright spark in the team yesterday, got a good few crosses into the box. Kind of, how do you feel about the overall game yourself?
I don't think we played well, but like, was it like European game away from home? You went 2-0. The other team didn't look like scoring at all. We were fairly comfortable, so you can't really complain too much. It's kind of just been the story of our season that we don't play particularly well, but Rashford and Bruno just win us the game. So you can't really complain, but it is what it is. Good result.
Yeah, I think
we should win. Like, we should go through comfortably. Like, I think we could it's almost kind of a blessing a couple of players are suspended for a second leg, because they could deal with the rest, and I don't think they would get the rest unless they're suspended.
Yeah, like, I think you look at Harry Maguire's suspension most notably. Like, he's a player since last season has played nearly every minute of every game, and he's someone who I think in the last couple of months has kind of, his performances have been getting a lot better and a lot more consistent in the United shirt. So to see him kind of getting a rest, and maybe giving Eric Bailly a chance if he's back next week, please God, in beside a Lindelof or Tuanzebe, in a European game, can obviously provide us the world of good. Obviously, did Luke Shaw, did he pick up a booking yesterday as well?
I think he did.
He's out as well, isn't he? So, like, when you look at that, like Shaw and Maguire, two very good players in their defence,
realistically,
being suspended.
The second leg, and especially since we won 2-0. Like, Granada look shit. I don't know. I'm not too worried about the second leg, because we were poor last night, I thought, and they didn't lay a hand on us. They didn't look like scoring. They didn't threaten us at all.
Yeah, and I think, like, you look at last night, like Soldado up front, Kennedy, like, on loan from Chelsea. Like, you look at that kind of team they had. I didn't look at that and say that they could threaten us, that there was anything that was significant there that really put our back four under significant threat. So, yeah, look, I'm confident going through to the next round. And, like, look, again, as Sal said, we have a good record against Roma. We showed what we could do against Ajax in the previous Europa League final that we were in. And obviously, they're naive. They'll come out and play high and try to attack us. And if they do that, do you know what I mean? We'll pick them apart, I think. I think they'd play straight into our hands. So, like, all things considered, I think it's a professional performance. You go out there, you get the win, and look, happy days. You look ahead to Sunday, because, look, I think for all of us here, all things considered, when you look at the reverse fixture against Spurs, we all still have nightmares of a 6-1 defeat, like especially against Jose Mourinho. That was a massive low point in their season, and looked like that we were going to obviously drop off, and Spurs were going to obviously amount to a title challenge. But a lot of things have changed since that game. So I think for us, massively, as it says in the thumbnail, repeat or revenge. I think revenge is massive on the fans' mind, but also on the players, because that's an embarrassing defeat. Losing 6-1 at home to any team, never mind Spurs. So I think mentality-wise, the players will need to be there on Sunday and stand up and be counted. Just before obviously Steve comes in to the show, obviously Harry Kane is a player who has been, I suppose, massively targeted in the media as of late in terms of trying to push for a move outside of Spurs. Obviously, David Ornstein came out on Sky Sports and said that Tottenham are open to a bid of 120 to 150 million for Kane to leave Spurs. A lot of Spurs fans are saying there's a bit of a witch hunt for him to leave the club. And Sal, I'll come to you first. What do you make of the media's thoughts of getting Kane out of Spurs?
I think there's no smoke without fire. I do think he's fishing for a move, really, and I don't blame him, to be honest with you. He's been one of the best strikers in Europe for the last few seasons now. I think 120 million might be a bit steep, given his age a little bit, but he's guaranteed you 30 goals a season, isn't he? And he's been staying at Tottenham. He's been loyal to Tottenham. I think it's time to go, really, for him, for his own career's sake, because he hasn't won anything yet. And a player like that should be winning trophies. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're not the only ones in for him, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I think, look, I said this on my show, like, I done a transfer show literally a couple of weeks ago, and, like, obviously I've done a list of strikers who I think United should get. Obviously Haaland was top of that list, but again, I think that's probably highly unrealistic in terms of what, like, when you look at the transfer fee Dortmund they're looking for this summer. I think though no one can probably get him this year. He has that 67 million release clause next summer. I think many clubs will go in there, but when you look at the next striker, you'll be looking at Harry Kane has to be there. Again, you weaken a rival. 120 million is 60 million less than Haaland. As you said, he's 27, 28 years of age in his prime.
I think.
Yeah, he's probably better than Haaland at the moment as well. And like, again, 27, 28 years of age, he's going to get you goals. Like, he's going to get you goals. And at the end of the day, yes, there is like a 5-6 week period of every season where he's going to be out injured. But look at his level of production outside of that. Like, he gets 20, 30 goals in the league a season. And he's getting that, let's face it, guys, with little service. Especially in this Jose Mourinho team, where he's not getting this much service.
Is the service. He's playing as a false 9 this year. And he's still scoring loads and loads of goals. He's a sick player, man. Sick player. Like, there's not...
Like, imagine...
Sorry, go on, King.
Like, imagine Harry Kane with a Bruno Fernandes or a Paul Pogba behind him. Imagine the level of goals that man could get if he's given the tools. Do you know, I think even if let's take United out of the equation, if he goes to Man City, if he goes to Real Madrid, any of them other clubs that he's been heavily linked with, he bangs in goals. He gets Lewandowski level goals, I think. Because you see his record with England when he goes plays with better players, he bangs in the goals. Like, the evidence is there this season that he's capable of so much. I think he can even reach a higher level, a higher ceiling if he leaves Spurs. Now, again, will Daniel Levy, Joe Lewis, will they price him out of a deal? I think that's where the problem may be. And like, if Kane has a great Euros this summer and Spurs finish outside the top 4 this year, there is room there for him to leave, I think. 100%. I think...
he should, because he's not going to win the trophy, like league titles and that, or Champions League at Spurs. Like, the media is right in what they're saying, and I don't think it's like an agenda against Kane. If anything, it's in support of Kane. They're saying he's too good for Spurs and he's too good for his teammates, which is true. So, like, I don't think it's the media talking about Kane negatively. I think it's positive how they're talking about that. You see Spurs, whether you want to say they're underperforming or they're just not winning the trophies, a player like of his level should be winning, but it's no fault of him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they're dead right saying he should leave. I don't think he will leave, though, because I don't think he'd force a move, and I don't think Levy would sell to an English team. And I just don't really think teams would have the money, to be honest.
Yeah, like, I think we look at £120 million. Is that probably most United's budget? Like,
play for United. I just need a comment from Jamie. I think Kane would definitely want to play for United. United are still the biggest club in it, especially with English players. Maybe other players on the continent might, they're grown up and they like see Madrid and Barca as the team, but like still English players coming up. United are the team,
Like, you look at Sancho, like at Dortmund, he wants to come to United. Obviously, there's rumors flying around the England camp last week that Declan Rice was talking about moving to United. Do you know what I mean? So the pull is obviously still there, but it's whether the board want to kind of come out and obviously splash out that cash, because we all know, lads, that the board is a big problem at this football club, and it's the reason where we are at this moment in time. Obviously, there's a combination of a lot of things, but the board is the biggest problem.
I'd actually be surprised if the asking price was only 120 million, to be honest, because you see other players like Sancho was being. Dortmund were looking for like 100 million for him last year, and Kane is a way better player. I know he's older, but I think Kane is still only 26, which is crazy.
Yeah,
right in his prime. I'd be very right. It sounds crazy to say, especially the way a lot of teams are strapped for cash now over no fans in the stadium and that. But 120 million for Harry Kane, it's not a steal, but it's a good price, to be honest.
And Sal, like, if you look at other clubs where Kane could go, like, obviously United are obviously in the conversation because we've been highly linked with Harry Kane since even when Jose was at the club. Like, if you take United out of the equation, where do you think would be a potential suitor for him?
For Kane, I think Real Madrid, a team like that would probably go in for him. I could see him playing for Real Madrid, definitely. To replace Benzema. I think if they need a rebuild as well. So this is the thing. We got to be quick with the transfers because we're going to end up missing out on these players. I don't trust the Glazers to spend that type of money. I think we'll probably have 60 million next spend again. And that'd be that, to be honest with you. I think it'd be all talk. It's like silly season again. We'll start talking, we'll start getting excited, and then we start getting more and more frustrated. And Kane will be wanting to move, but we won't spend the money. This is the problem with United at the moment. We know what players we need, but it's whether they sanction the moves for those players. Because I don't see how Ollie's meant to progress when you think about the way Man City are improving. I personally think Haaland will go to Man City. I think that they'll get Grealish as well, and they just blow us out the water, to be honest with you, because they're already way ahead of us. And then they spend another 200 million, then it's game over, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like it was mad. Jack Grealish, I think, on that left hand side, he improves that forward line massively, tenfold, because Raheem Sterling isn't great this season. He's been off form, and you put Jack Grealish into that equation on that left hand side for City. That's a whole different ball game. And if you get Haaland, like, you may as well call it off, because like we can go out and get a defensive midfield player. We can go out and get a Sancho. It's still not enough to compare with City's debt in the squad. I think like that's that's massive. Jamie says in the comments here, if City get Grealish, I'll be pig sick. I think we all will, Jamie. I think we'll all be.
Fuck this game, man. It's not fair. But if I'm
think about this, financial fair play is gone out the window now. So you see clubs like City, you see clubs like Chelsea. Real Madrid will get some sort of funding from somewhere in Spain. You know how crooked it is over there. Yeah, like you look at that. These big transfers, Haaland, Kane, obviously Mbappe may be going to Madrid. There's all massive talk there. You look at that now and you say, where's the buck going to stop? Like, where does Man United come into this equation? Because at the end of the day, the Glazers are happy to get that top four and get that revenue in. But if they don't provide Ollie with the players, look, at the end of the day, he's not going to succeed. And then the same's going to happen with the next manager that comes in, rinse and repeat. They don't get backed, and again, it's just the same old story. So look, I think for me, like in that regard, you have to say, we do have to go out there and we have to be proactive in this transfer window. But as Sal said, I think could be all smoke and mirrors, all paper talk, and then we end up with a 60 million net spend with the likes of Lingard and all them players leaving, and then we only bring in maybe one or two. I think that's what the reality of the situation is. Steve is having technical difficulties with us at the moment. That's why he hasn't joined us. It's really unlike Steve not to have these difficulties. But we're going to move on in the show with regards to this preview. Obviously, we're all in a collective agreement that we think Kane should leave Spurs. I think that's absolutely true.
And to get to City, man. If I'm Harry Kane, I can't to go to City.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility that could happen. But kind of looking at Tottenham this season, because obviously they've come in on the Jose Mourinho. This is Jose Mourinho year 2, and historically Jose Mourinho year 2 is a guaranteed league title, is a guaranteed some sort of trophy. Now they're in the Carabao Cup final against Manchester City. Their back's going to be against the wall there in that game. They're knocked out of the FA Cup. They're knocked out of the League Cup. They're I think that I'm just going to check the league position. I believe they are 7th place in the league. Obviously, top 4 is a very big ask for them this season now too. Shane, going to come to you first. How would you rate Spurs' progress under Mourinho in year 2?
They're getting year 3 Mourinho since year 1, man. You feel bad for him. We were getting year 3 and year 2, and I don't know, man. It's funny how it's played out, because after that 6-1, Spurs were looking good, and we were looking so bad. And they've kind of been similar to us in a way that they haven't been playing particularly well. They just had 2 forwards, 2 attackers just carrying their whole season. So, they've had Kane and Son, and we've had Rashford and Bruno. And I just think the support act behind them then, ours has just been a little better. But it's mad. Like, they've been worse. Like, at the start of the season, I didn't think they'd get top 4. I didn't really think they'd be anywhere near it. But then when they started off well, I was like, geez, they might be in a title race. But they've just fallen off completely, man. I don't know. And I don't watch Spurs every week, so I can't really say how much of it is down to Mourinho and how much is down to players. But probably the most common thing I'm seeing from Spurs fans is it's all individual errors, especially from players at the back. But then it's the same back 4 playing every week. It's the same 2 centre-halves playing. So if it's individual errors, it's the same individual errors by the same players. And at what point do you say to managers why you're still playing them players? You know? So,
yeah,
in a way, like, you could see at the start of the year, like, you could say it wasn't going to be sustainable, how it was just kind of 2 attackers carrying them. Same way you could say it about United, but we sustained it for a bit longer than them.
And Jamie is commenting there. I'm not on the Bulmers tonight, but I'm drinking water out of a very big pint glass tonight. So I'm just keeping myself hydrated. But no, it's WrestleMania weekend this week, so I think tomorrow night I might have a couple of beers tomorrow night and watch some WrestleMania tomorrow night, and the UFC is also on too. So I'll have the best of both worlds. One be on the laptop, one be on the telly. But Sal, what do you think of Jose Mourinho's time at Spurs? Like, obviously, there's a lot of talk, and we'll bring Steve in a minute when he is live. Like, in terms of this, there's a lot of talk of Jose Mourinho's finish, that maybe international football is maybe the next step for him. For you, are you in the same camp that Mourinho's finished, or do you maybe think he's being let down by his personnel at Spurs?
Yeah, I echo Shane, exactly what he said. Mourinho is finished, in my opinion, in the club football. I said it a long time ago. He falls out with players too much. I remember when I was a couple of years ago, when I went to Old Trafford, and I was sitting by the dugout, and I remember Mourinho watching the game on the touchline, and I don't know who it was, whether it was Darmian or Lukaku, but someone missed a gilt-edged opportunity against Crystal Palace, and we drew 0-0. And he turned around to the bench and he went, "You see what I mean?"
Rashford.
You know?
It's Rashford, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
He was such an arsehole for that, man. It was so annoying because he wouldn't give players a fair shake. Do you know? Like, he'd leave a player out of the team for weeks on end, and the fans would be going crazy. Like, why won't you play him? And then he'd bring him in out of the cold, then start a big game or whatever. They play poorly, and then he's like, "See, this is why he doesn't play." But you're not giving him a fair shake because, like, you need to rate him. You know, you need to give him a chance. Like, do you know what I mean? It was just
give us some confidence, you know. And it was. I just feel like if you watch his documentary as well, I felt like, you know, he's very self-centered, arrogant. You know, he's too much, and he goes on about the past too much, in my opinion. He done well for us for one season, granted. But after that, you know, I felt it was downhill. And I said a few months ago he will never win another trophy. And I don't think he will, to be honest with you. I think that's it for him. Yeah,
he definitely won't win another league. Like, people forget, it's been almost a decade since he won a league title. Do you know what I mean? And I don't see him winning one anytime soon. But the funny thing about him with this Spurs team is that, like, when he was at United were linked with these Spurs players. Like, these were all his guys. He wanted these players, and now he's gone to Spurs. I remember he was doing punditry for a Spurs game, and he was going on about their squad and saying it was one of the best in the league. It was so good. It's good enough for winning the league. And now he's there, and now it's, he doesn't have the players. No, but these are his players. These are the players he wanted when he was at United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and you look at he just keep making excuses, no matter what, you know. And
he's too good at it, man. Like, he divides the fan base because so mad. Like, this, some of the fans that go, so even a lot of United fans are still like so pro Mourinho, and still defend his time here, like, till death. Like, you know, and I don't get this bondage on football. It's because he's so easy to buy him, because he has like that kind of cult thing where he's like, it's us against the world. You know, he has that kind of siege mentality. That's when he does get people on side. Like, he has them. But I don't know, man. It's weird, like, how he just brainwashes some fans, I think.
I think football's moved on since them days. It's moved on. People have caught on to his tactics, his mind games, etc. You know.
Yeah, and I think when you look at Mourinho as well, he's still like, he throws players under the bus, and we're seeing that at Tottenham. Like, do you see his comment last weekend? Is like, different players, same manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's basically saying, like, I'm still the man. I haven't done anything relevant in about 5 years, but yeah, I'm still the man. Like, I'm the bee's knees. And I think he's very kind of caught up in his ways. And again, as you said, like, his style of management, like, is finished in this game. You look at managers like Pep Guardiola, you look like managers like Jurgen Klopp, Maurizio Pochettino. I'd even say Brendan Rodgers at this moment in time is a more progressive manager than Jose Mourinho. At this moment in time, at the top level,
He's
I think
highly
Brendan
underrated.
Rodgers,
If he didn't manage Liverpool, I won't mind about United. To be honest with you, he's a brilliant manager. Underrated.
Yeah, he's a very good manager. I think Brendan Rodgers, and look what he's doing within his means at Leicester. He's doing quite well. But when you look at these managers at the top level, like Guardiola, Klopp, Rodgers, Pochettino, obviously Nagelsmann over in Germany as well, who was highly thought of as well. Jose Mourinho doesn't touch any of these managers at this moment in time in terms of progressive football, in terms of being tactically flexible in his tactics. He's nowhere near that level now. And as Shane said, he hasn't won a league title in nearly a decade now. So I think you have to say he is finished. Like, I think at the top level, he is finished. Now, look, if he goes out and does us a favour and beats City in the Carabao Cup final, I'll be happy, because then bastards don't get the quadruple.
Whatever about like his style of football, but even the basics, he just can't seem to get that right nowadays. Because usually, typical Mourinho teams, you're good at the back. You might you'll be well drilled defensively, and then going forward, it was very much off the cuff. He just had quality players that they kind of just have the talent to do it. But at the very least, his teams were always well drilled. But like, he hasn't been for a long time. Like, even his United team wasn't good defensively. We were really poor defensively. I know, like, in the second year, I think we had the best defensive record in the league. But none of that was down to how well drilled we were defensively, because our midfield was we give up so much space in midfield. The back four was very bad. It was just individual, just from De Gea. That was literally the only reason why we had a respectable defensive record. So I don't know, like, even the things that, like, you'd imagine the gimmies in a Mourinho team. When's the last time a Mourinho team had them? It's been so long. So, and he doesn't have the clout now to get the same backing in the market that he used to, because it's been so long since he'd done anything of note. And that's why he'd fall out with players, but he kind of he still had his name to carry the weight, so he'd be able to get away with that. But now players are looking at him when he's having to go at players, and they're looking at him like, you're finished. They're thinking like, you're finished. You're not the same Mourinho as you were a few years ago. So who are you to be doing this and that? So I don't know. I just, like, I love Mourinho. Like, I love him, but I just think the game is passing by, and there's no shame in that, because he was at the top for a very long time. But I definitely think you're doing him a disservice if you try and say he's still he's still as good as he used to be.
Yeah, I think I don't think he's as good as he used to be, and I don't think can he adapt. I think he's too narrow-minded to kind of adapt to today's game. Now, look, they could beat us Sunday, and look, this could be all clipped up, and people could say, yeah, Mourinho isn't finished. Like, do you know what I mean? You know what it's like on football YouTube. This stuff happens, right? But like, really and truly, at top level in the long-term perspective, he's finished. I really think he is. But
yeah, I think so.
Obviously, looking ahead, obviously, to the weekend, like, we look at Spurs' progress this season, and we can all say they probably should be doing better. I think they're sixth in the table. I checked that they're sixth, and they should be doing a lot better. I think they have a better squad than Leicester. They probably should be where Leicester are on the table, to be honest, this season. But we'll see what happens kind of between now and the end of the season. But obviously, we look at both clubs, and both clubs, regardless of form, they have a lot of quality players at both football clubs in many different positions. So we're going to do a combined 11 each for all of us here together. Now, none of us know each other's combined 11s before we went live. And so I'd be interested to kind of hear Sal's combined 11, Shane's combined 11, and if Steve's technical difficulties do manage to mop up, then Steve's combined 11 as well, because I know for a fact he will not like to throw any United player in his team if I have 11 Spurs guys in there. So we'll see kind of how we get on with it. So I'm going to go with my combined 11 first, and I'm going to come to the panel then after that. So in goal was probably my hardest choice, because obviously you look at this season, David De Gea hasn't kind of shown himself much light. Though Hugo Lloris has had a couple of mistakes this season, and also Dean Henderson hasn't. He's been in and out with the side this season. He's only kind of in the last kind of 6 weeks kind of got a prolonged kind of run in the team. So I went with Dean Henderson just off recent form. You look at the last kind of 6 weeks. I think he should be United number one as well. So I went with Dean Henderson. I went with a full United back four, because you consider United are second league. The Spurs have a worse defence than us this season. I went to the full United back four, and went to Wan-Bissaka. I went to Lindelof. I went to Maguire. I went to Luke Shaw. Now, I think Reguilon's really unlucky to miss out. I think he's been outstanding for Spurs this year, left back. We wanted him last summer. I was a huge advocate in this show for Reguilon signing for us. But Luke Shaw's been... We've all talked off camera before we went live about how much we admire his form this season. And I think, look, if he keeps that form up between now and the rest of the season, not only is he nailed on for Player of the Year for United, but he's nailed on for that left back spot for England as well. I think in the Euros, I think if he continues that form, I think definitely Gareth Southgate will start him. I went to 4-3-3 in midfield as well. So I've went to a defensive midfield. I went to a Tottenham player, and I've went to Højbjerg in defensive midfield. Again, that's a position where United massively need to address this summer. We've been talking on the show about Declan Rice or Ndidi or someone like that coming in and filling that role. And I think when you look at Højbjerg and you look at the transfer fee Spurs paid for him, he's been one of the few transfers that Mourinho has done in the last kind of 12 months of Spurs that's actually worked out. He's been very good for him. So I'm going to go Højbjerg midfield. Again, the next two midfielders pick themselves. I'm going Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes. Again, in my opinion, when you look at the Premier League this season, you look at midfielders, them two midfielders are in the top four in midfield players in the league. So alongside Højbjerg in midfield, I would go Fernandes and Pogba. And just as I get to my front three, we are now joined by host of Tipperary Pure Radio and our Tottenham fan, Mr. Steve McGrath. How's it going, Steve and Steve?
Good boys, thank you. Thanks for your patience. So,
Steve, you're fashionably late, but look, at the end of the day, you're...
I'm just psyching myself up to face Shane. Hey, Sal, good to meet you.
So on the weekly armchair, we haven't had Steve. Like on the weekly armchair, we actually haven't had Shane and Steve on a show in quite some time. And last time, I believe we had these two guys on the same show. It was a post-match show when Spurs beat us 6-1. So that's the last time these two guys have been on camera the last time. So let's hope that's not an omen for this weekend. But let's continue on with the combined 11 just before I come to the guys. Obviously, just give Steve a heads up what my combined 11 was before he came in. So it was Henderson in goal, United back four in Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw. Højbjerg at defensive midfield. I've gone with Pogba, Fernandes in midfield alongside two of them. There's two Spurs guys in my front three guys, so I've gone with Son and Kane. And so Son and Rashford can decide amongst each other as to who's playing on the left, who's playing on the right. And look, Harry Kane picks himself. I think, look, we all talked highly about Harry Kane on the show today. And look, again, I know Cavani's good. He's all right. But Harry Kane's world class. He's different levels. So for me,
he's been stinking. I don't think he's even been good for us this year. He's just scored a couple of nice goals, but apart from that, if I can't think of any, apart from the two he scored against Southampton in the 3-2, I can't. Not one Cavani moment pops in my head this year. You know, nothing stands out.
Yeah, Sunday. I'm telling you.
Yeah, 100%. Just kind of going to continue with these combined 11s, guys. So I'm going to go to Sal next. Sal, what would be your Manchester United / Spurs combined 11?
Very similar to yours, mate. Obviously, Henderson in goal, I would pick. Back four, United all the way. Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. In centre midfield, I would shock a few people. I'll put Sissoko there with Pogba. And then I'll put Kane and Son and Rashford up front. Is it 4-3-3? I think it'd be a good side, that.
I think with Sissoko midfield, I think that'd be a proper Jose midfield. 2 tall midfielders in there in Pogba and Sissoko, and they'd have a lot of height in there, especially with set pieces as well. That'd be a Jose dream, and you'd have Harry Maguire in there, who Jose tried to sign to as well. Imagine a Jose team with set pieces with the 2 boys of Sissoko, Pogba and Maguire in there, and obviously then you'd have Kane in there as well. So I think when you look at that, there's a lot of height in that team. Obviously, I think Højbjerg's probably unlucky.
Sissoko's ability to score goals.
He'd just be in there as one of the big men.
I agree with you with Cavani, though. I think Cavani, I'm a bit controversial with this, but I've never rated him throughout his career as highly as people rate him. I mean, he's had a few good seasons at Napoli, and I've seen him from the PSG. He was okay. He wasn't brilliant. I just feel like he's tooting his own horn a little bit.
I think he was sick. I think Cavani's one of the best strikers of his generation. He's sick player, man, I think. But I don't think he's anything like he's fallen off, but I do think
injuries have hampered him though.
What?
I think injuries, when you look at Edison Cavani, over a stretch of the last maybe 3-4 years, I think injuries have hampered him. He had massive injury problems.
Yeah.
At PSG, and then he's had injury problems when he came to United as well, and we haven't seen the best of him. But again, it's kind of a mixed bag of him because he isn't that clinical striker that everyone does make him out to be.
No, he misses opportunities. He's missed some gilt-edged chances in his career.
Yeah, he's not. He definitely isn't clinical, but when you're you're going to get some strikers won't get many chances and they'll just put away the 1 or 2 they get. But he's a striker. He can afford to miss as many chances as he does because movement is so good. He's going to make chances for himself because movement is so good. Do you know what I mean? He's not clinical. He does miss a lot of chances, but he still scored 400 career goals, which is sick. I think he's one. I just think he, in his prime, he's been one of the best strikers I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, he is a good player, but again, I think we're probably going to see the back from the summer, like Boca Juniors. I'd say he probably go there. By the looks things and again, United shouldn't be laying down for a 34-year-old player who's coming towards the end of his tether. No. If he wants to go, he wants to go. I'd leave him go. At the end of the day, Mason Greenwood there, who's primed and ready to play number 9. If Cavani wants to go, so be it. Don't offer him a 2-year deal and leave him go. Steve, your combined 11, and obviously you've heard myself and Sal's. A lot of United faces in there. There's another Tottenham midfielder that's actually been mentioned in the comments as well, which both of us actually didn't put in there. And I'm sickened because I
forgot about him.
Looking at it now.
I think the thing is there, I don't think you can have a midfield of Pogba and Ndombele. I don't think it would work with 2 together.
Just win 10-9.
Look, I have to go with Hugo in goal. But again, I wouldn't argue with either one of you for going with a United keeper instead of him. It's just you would watch more of the United games than I would watch more of the Spurs games. So I've seen what Hugo's come on in leaps and bounds under Jose, and I think he's. Well, I think it's probably his last season here. I think he's definitely been a match winner for us a few times this year as well. I just think Henderson will be top. Yeah. I'd agree. I think Henderson will be a top keeper. I think De Gea is that kind of on the decline. So Hugo, just on the season he's had, gets it for me. Back 4. Shaw left back, Wan-Bissaka right back, because basically we don't have any right backs. Maguire and Toby. But I would have Toby in there over Lindelof. Again, just personal preference, really. I know Lindelof's been doing very well for you. And if he's able to play, this will be his 3rd game this week, would it, if he plays?
Yeah, with his back, that's a big concern.
Yeah. Then midfield, I would go Højbjerg and Pogba, and then I'd have Rashford, Son, Kane. It's a given anyway for the front 3.
Yeah, I think you look at that front 3. I think that in almost all of our combined 11s, I think that just picks itself. Yeah, I was waiting for that, Steve. I was like, that's 10 players, mate. I was like,
rather field 10 than give Bruno 12.
I'd rather field 10 and leave him in, put him in there. Yeah. But yeah, no, look, I think look, it's the game, like it's an entirely different complexion. Even pre-game last time, obviously, look, the result that happened, nobody could have predicted would happen. But it's a different game altogether, even as to where both teams were. But I know, like that tweet that like Shane said earlier on about that United report had said about Jose saying both teams were close together. Like the full quote there is that he was asked if there could be a repeat of the 6-1.
Yes,
and
afterwards, actually, I felt bad.
So he said he was asked if there could be a repeat of that, and he said that he wouldn't look to that as the example. He would rather he'd look to the previous 2 games before that, where we lost 2-1 and one of the goals was a penalty, and we drew 1-1 and one of the goals was the penalty, and that the teams are much closer than they were in the 6-1, or that they're much closer than a 6-1 result. And like, in fairness, I mean, like, look, I'm very pessimistic about Sunday. Like, United's away record is incredible. Spurs we're unbeaten at home in 5 in all competitions. But if the attitude on the pitch is the same as it was last Sunday against Newcastle, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think, like, look, I think for me, the big thing this week is Spurs have had a week off, and if a fresh Kane, fresh Son, Gareth Bale potentially being fresh, and then obviously
it's the first time this season that Jose has had a full week to prepare for a Premier League game.
And that's concerning when you consider, like, obviously, Ollie doesn't rotate. We all know this. Ollie's not massive for rotating players, so
he hates rotating.
Concern coming into this game that we're going to see. Obviously, Luke Shaw is a doubt. Rashford's can be put out there, strapped up, and probably have a couple of painkillers before the game just to make sure he can get through the game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you look at that and say, on paper, on the form book, United are probably favourites, but at the same time, Spurs had a week off. Obviously, the away record does stand to us, but at the same time, like, it's not a built-in excuse that they've had a week off. At the end of the day, the form book suggests that we should win this game because the away record, as Steve mentioned, and when you look at the obviously individual quality that both teams have, Spurs have Kane and Son. When you look at the midfield, United probably have, like, with Pogba and Fernandes, they should have enough of midfield to obviously break Spurs down. But that's where the intangibles of this game come in. And that's where it's, I suppose, you look at both teams' defenses, both of them aren't world-class defenses. They're very good defenses, not world-class. And this is where it comes in to say which defense holds out. Like, I think this is it's a case of which defense holds out here, because I think the centre-backs, like, you look how United got torn apart in the 6-1. When we tried to play high, Kane and Son, Kane dropped into that little kind of false 9 role, and the movement for Bailly and Maguire at the time, was too much. Like, do United maybe sit back for the first 10-20 minutes of the game and say, like, look, let's soak up the pressure, let's take it for the first 20 minutes, let's let the game calm down, and let's let the individual quality come into the equation, those likes of Pogba, those likes of Fernandes, to get on the ball and try make something happen. So I think that's where it's very interesting to see kind of where this game pans out. Shane, I didn't get your combined 11. Do you have anyone different to the...
No, I think we all kind of have fairly similar teams. I went Lloris in goal. I think he might be having his best season at Spurs, I think. And De Gea hasn't had a good season again. Henderson's been okay, but like you were saying, he's kind of been in and out of the team, so it's hard to tell. It's hard to kind of judge just how good he is because he hasn't gotten an extended run. He's kind of getting that now, but still that's only recently. So I have Lloris in goal. I have Wan-Bissaka, Shaw as the fullbacks, and Maguire and Boy centre half, which is it's weird, like the back four, because neither team is good defensively, and neither team's defenders have had a good season defensively.
Far
maybe
out show.
just short. Like, you know, it's like, so we're not blessed with defenders either side. Midfield, I want to go Pogba and Dembele because I think they're just the two best central midfielders for both teams. But like you're saying, it's not actually a good fit. You know, they couldn't actually play together, but I kind of want to do it just because they are the two best options. But realistically, I'd probably go Pogba and Højbjerg sitting next to him, and then Bruno 10, and then the front three would be Rashford, Son, and Kane. You know, so I kind of think it picks itself. Really, we all have similar enough teams. You know, so
Does
It's
Daniel
funny enough
James
that,
not get into your level, Shane? No.
Daniel James make the 20. He's been left out.
Not one of us went with the same back four, did we?
Sorry.
Not one of us went with the same back four.
No, so
Yeah.
it's kind of mad. Like back four, back five, we don't kind of have the same back four. But I was going to say who's the manager, but I think this will develop into an argument, so I'm not going to go there.
Look, I think see what you said about the 20 minutes there. Like, I think, see, it's going to be a case of, I think United are going to suss what way Jose set Spurs out to play, because like I honestly don't know. Like, I think he will go for it, because I think that the only way to play against United is to go at them. I mean, if you sit back against you, like with Pogba's range of passing and Bruno in front of him as well, like it's very, very dangerous.
I think on the flip side, Steve, though, we struggle against a low block. Like, we really do. And you look at United's games where we struggle this season. It's been like against Sheffield United. I know we beat Wolves, but we massively struggle against Wolves. You watched the Granada game last night. Like, we struggled there to put two past them. They play a compact low block. So I think, like, if Spurs come at us, it could come to their detriment at the same time, because United's main attributes is on the counter-attack. The likes of Rashford, the likes of Keane, the likes of Bruno and Pogba up there who can do damage.
I think a big thing in the 6-1 was Mourinho played with his fullbacks very high, which he normally doesn't do, especially in the big games. So everyone usually makes jokes that he has his wingers as fullbacks, but realistically, he normally doesn't leave his fullbacks very high in big games, and I think he did do that against United. And obviously then United try and leave their wingers high. Like, I remember it was Rashford left wing that day. I can't remember who was right wing, whether it was James or Greenwood. Yeah, but most top teams try and leave their wingers high, and especially then, United, you could argue, are lacking a step because they had no pre-season or whatever. And I think that was a big thing in the game, was that Spurs were getting away with pushing their fullbacks higher, and the United wingers weren't going with them. And the midfield, it was Pogba and Matic in midfield. Matic's legs are gone, and Pogba was still getting over COVID, say. So I don't think they had the fitness or whatever to cover the ground then the wingers were leaving. So I think that was one of the biggest problem for United that day. I'm not sure if Mourinho will be, say, that brave again, just because you look at the situation leading into that game the last time, and Spurs had started off really well, and United had started off poorly. So he might have been thinking, yeah, I can get away with doing this. But now obviously it's kind of flipped now, where United, like, as poor as they've been a lot of the time, are having a decent season domestically where they're second, and Spurs have been largely disappointing. So now maybe he's going into it and he's like, oh, maybe he doesn't feel confident to do the same, or maybe he just thinks that United would go with Mick Fred and they'd be able to cover the ground, cover the space left behind the wingers, so his fullbacks won't get as much joy. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to see what way they'll set up.
It depends what midfield Ollie goes for, though. I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost.
Fucking asshole. We know what he's going with. He's going to kill me. He's going to go on McFred, I'd say, again.
McFred, yeah.
That's just what he does, man. And I don't like it. It sucks, but that's just what he does.
Yeah, I think that, as we're just going to get to it now in terms of 11s, so we're going to get to the starting 11 predictions, because doing a starting 11 prediction with Man United is like doing the lotto. You don't know who's gonna start. You can probably say Fernandes and that's it. Then other than that, there's always other players who.
it's 9 of the same players every week, and then there's like it's just because he hates rotating, so you're guaranteed at least 9 of the same players, and then there's one surprise fucking guy, and the surprise is normally Dave.
I'm going to come to you first, Shane, with regards to your combined 11. Not combined, starting 11, sorry. What's your predicted 11 for Sunday?
I think he'll go Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Shaw left back. The Shaw is a doubt, you are saying, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, if Shaw's fit, he'll start because Ollie don't let these lads rest, you know. So if he can play, he will play. I think it would be Maguire and Lindelof centre half. He'll go McFred in the middle. I think Rashford won't start because his body is just broken at this stage. So I think he'll go McFred in the middle. He'll play Pogba left wing, James right wing, and Bruno 10 and Greenwood up front.
Yeah, I literally have the exact same 11. I had that in mind because I think with Rashford, I think it's 50-50 whether he starts. I think he come off the bench maybe. I think Rashford may come off the bench if we're a goal down or something like that, or if it's 0-0 and we need a goal. I went the same. I went.
Yuri's right. We need to get these fuckers back, but I never had any beef with Spurs my whole life. It never bothered me. And then they dropped 6-1 on us for no fucking reason. You know.
I just hope we come out of it that we win on aggregate. That's all.
I went to that same exact 11 as Shane. Like I think Pogba will probably end up being shafted out to the left. You probably see Daniel James on the right. I think we can all collectively agree as the United fans in this show, Greenwood has to start up front. He's been scoring in the last couple of games. He's done well, and Cavani hasn't really cut the mustard as of late, and like he wants to leave. So look, for me, I think Greenwood has to start. So I go like the exact same 11 as Shane. But if Rashford is anyway fit, play him. If you can play him. But look, at the same time, we don't want him to be finished at 27, you know. So, like, look, I think you need to kind of look after him at the same time. Sal, do you have anything different to myself and Shane with regards to your United 11 for the weekend?
I think he's going to drop Pogba and play James on the left and Greenwood on the right and Cavani up front, I think.
I nightmare about that last night.
Yeah, I know. It's not what I want, but that's what I think he's going to do. Obviously, McFred in the middle and the same Lindelof, Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Shaw with Henderson in goal, I think. Yeah, he's going to disappoint. He's always disappointing me every week.
Yeah, I'm always dreading the lineup for the big games because I'm never happy. Like, you know, I don't know. You know, it is what it is.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, it is really a
tough game. If he does that, James on the left. Low block, running into walls, you know, it's just. I don't know. It's just
Steve, from a Tottenham perspective, what can we expect to see on Sunday?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. No, that's the honest answer. Like, I mean, like there's a part of me that says, like that. Yeah, I get like the low block. United struggle against that, but at the same time, like. We would then be, we'd be hedging all our bets on arguably the weakest part of our team, you know. So, I get the low block thing, and I know, like, and it has worked this season. Time like beating City, 2-0, but I don't know. I just think the way to go against United is to go for it.
It's likely that you set up with a low block and try and hit Spurs on the counter as well. You know, you're probably going to have both teams sitting off each other, just trying to give the other team the ball.
No, come on. Yeah, you come in. No, you take it. No, you take it.
Yeah, no one wants
it. Look, I think Spurs on Sunday, so has to be Reggie on left back because Davies is injured anyway. And right back, look, he's played Tanganga recently at right back, but I think for what we need against United, Tanganga hasn't got the attacking capabilities that we'll want. So that's why I think Aurier will be back in there. And I think he's going to play Toby and Joe Rodan. I know he's played Sanchez the last couple of times. He hasn't been great. All I'm afraid of is if United do play Cavani, like his aerial prowess, it will win the game for you. I think we can't handle set pieces. We're just not able for them. So I then think it will be Tanguy Ndombele and Højbjerg in the middle of the field. I toyed with this one because I wasn't sure whether he might go 4-3-3 against United, but I think he's going to go with the 4-2-3-1, and he might play Lucas in the 10 role, who he's really found his feet playing in that role recently. He's an absolute workhorse anyway, but he often as a winger he often he just runs into defenders too often, loses the ball. But as a 10, he's not asked to take people on. He's just asked to win the ball, put pressure on, and to play passes and make
he bounces off people and on the wing he might be getting isolated, but on 10 he's surrounded by players. So yeah, like you said, he doesn't have to beat a man. He can just link up and just bounce it off people. It suits him a lot better, I think.
Yeah, and then I think he's going to go with I think he'll start Bale, Bale's son Kane. Now Son has 1 goal in 12 games. He's had his 2 weeks off with the injury with the international window, and that wasn't spectacular last week, as we said. But I think he really has to step up to the plate. But I think he enjoys playing against United. Even when games when he hasn't scored against you, he's done really well. But I think him and Reggie on the same wing. So it just depends who United play down the right.
I'd say James is a cert for the right wing. I think Daniel James is a cert for right wing. I really do. I think Daniel James will play there for defence.
Just the face on Sam.
But to be fair to Daniel James, but to be fair, you think about I think he's a dead cert after what happened in the last game. Ollie will have that in the back of his mind, and I think when you look at Rashford, if he doesn't play, Dan James will start there. I don't think Mason Greenwood would have the capability to, from a defensive aspect, of playing the right, especially against Reguilon and Son. And I think Greenwood is better off playing up top. Cavani shouldn't start. And look, Shane, I'm sorry. I'm not happy about it either. Trust me, I'm not. But I think it's a harsh reality that we see Dan James on Sunday.
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, because I agree. I think anytime Greenwood gets to play up front and not right wing is a bonus. So that's good. So if that means we have to see Daniel James, so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we get to the score prediction, Steve, you missed. Just to start the show, we did talk about kind of Jose Mourinho and kind of his term at Tottenham. Obviously, look, you're in a League Cup final now. You're on course for getting a trophy this season, and I've seen a lot of Spurs fans on social media being very divided on Jose Mourinho. And we've had our say earlier on the show. Where are you sitting in that boat now? Because your fan base, like ours was 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago, we're divided. Where are you sitting now on Mourinho?
See, my gripe with Spurs with the club is the ownership and the running of it, and the transfer policy. Look, if it was any manager at all in the world that right now at this stage of the season had us in a cup final and 3 points off top 4, you'd be thinking, not bad. Jeez, that's decent.
I didn't realize they were close to top 4. I thought it was like 6-7 points or something.
So I think it's just you look at some of the results we've had, and yes, you would think, geez, the Spurs are having a really bad season, but we've had some big results as well, and it's the big results that have kind of carried us.
What sticks out to me, actually?
Yeah, does it? So I'm okay with where we are. I'm not Jose out at all. yes, there are fewer reasons for me to be Jose in than there might have been at previous points in the season, but I still feel like it doesn't matter who's there because it's the board that's there and like Levy and Hitchin over the transfers. Like if you look at our transfer policy over the last few years, I seen a tweet there today. Like a couple of years ago, we spent 55 million on Ryan Sessegnon, Jack Clark, and Doherty. So,
oh my god!
whereas we couldn't get the Bruno deal over the line because we wouldn't pay an extra 8 million, and we couldn't get the Ruben Diaz over the line because we wouldn't pay an extra 10 million. And then there was the whole Dybala image rights thing as well. Whether he would have actually signed, I don't know. But when you look at like where we've spent our money, and the recruitment side of it has been shocking, absolutely shocking. Like say like even Lo Celso, like 50 million for Lo Celso, I don't see it now. Like yes, he's been injured for long term, but I don't see that much money in him. Davinson Sanchez, 42 million. You know, and that was 42 million a few years ago.
When he first signed, I thought he looked a businessman, and then every year since he's just looked worse and worse. And this season especially, he just looks like it's a fucking disaster.
He's got pace and like a lot, and at the time, that looked like the way like the centre half, the evolution of the centre half was going to be. It was going to be you're going to need a centre half, not your like we say if you go back to the days of like Pallister and Bruce, where it was just a big man, just a big block. Do you know what I mean? It didn't have to. They operated within like a 10-yard circle. That was it, like, you know. Yeah. Whereas now, yes, you do need a ball player at the back, but like they just got it wrong with him. And I think a lot of his highlights and stuff. If you look at like clips of like, you go, geez, he looks amazing, but he's recovering from an error in judgment or like a positional error that he's made. Do you know? So, and his pace gets him out of it. It was like Kyle Walker for years with us, like, you know. But I feel I don't know, like I'm okay with Jose. I really am.
If pick between being Jose in or Poch back, what would it be?
I was going to get to that question, but you took it from me, Shane.
So yeah, look, I was as with any sports, like we were all enamored to Pochettino. It's only when you look back on it after he's gone and you see the 9 or 10 months of results that we actually had, and when you take out the really, really lucky run we had in the Champions League, we were very poor for a long time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I almost think that season he made the Champions League was probably like that was the worst. Yeah, like to say the 2 years prior to that, I thought you were a far better team.
Yeah.
You know, I think
we were, but
masked a
lot. And that's it. And it's the decline of that squad, the players that are in there, and the lack of freshening it up. So, like, yes, it was like, geez, Spurs were the first club ever to go 2 windows without buying a player.
Yeah, I do think it was Levy. It was very much a thing of this squad under Pochettino has run its course. So either we need to rebuild, like he thought it would be cheaper.
100%.
Just rebuild the team, which I think was the wrong decision, because I do think Poch is a quality manager, but at the same time I need to keep quiet about that for a few months and see what happens in the French league, because if he doesn't win the French league with PSG,
but look, I think like say like that famous interview that Pochettino did with Gary Lineker at the time, and Gary Lineker was on about the stadium and how great it was, and Pochettino said, yes, but you have a nice house, but you need to have nice furniture. And then if you get a nicer house, you need nicer furniture. Do you know? And everyone knew exactly what he meant. And like that probably said, like, triggered alarm bells for Levy going, oh, hang on now a second. Like this, because in Levy's head it was like, this team finished second in the league a couple of seasons ago. So, do you know? But do you know what I mean? Yes, they did then that year, and you had prime Alderweireld, prime Vertonghen, you had Rose, Walker, absolutely bombing down the wings. We were unbeaten at home in the last season at White Hart Lane. We then moved into Wembley and then into a new stadium, and there's so much in there like that would play a factor. But like he spent whatever, I think it was like 14 million or something to pay Pochettino and the staff off. He's paid 15 million for a year for Mourinho, and if he has to give him the boot, it's 30 million. So Like that's 50 million. That like
Yeah.
if we had cleared the dead wood that we do need to clear out of the team and spent 50 million on the squad, I think we'd be well up in the top four. Like if you look at, like, I know everyone says, like a lot of people would say to me, will you stop? Spurs have some squad. Yeah, like I get what you mean. We're covering all areas and all that. But if you look at it, if I said to you guys, would you have Aurier in your starting 11? Would you have Doherty? Would you have Sanchez? Would you have Alderweireld? Like, there's so many players the Spurs have that wouldn't be in a top 6, top 10 club. Like Lamella is
they get into Arsenal. They get into. Hey, Steve, I'm going to stop you right there. Most of them players get into Arsenal's team.
Well, you fucking like that's most of them get into Burnley's team. What's the difference? You know, it's fucking Arsenal.
But I think like we've an awful lot of debt we need to clear out.
I think a lot of them
players that are there way too long. Like I said earlier on the season, one of the starting 11s we had, there was 8 players in the starting 11 that were there in 2017. That's mental.
Yeah, that's crazy. But we're just at the end of the show now, guys. And thanks very much to all the panel for coming on. All fantastic opinions. And, you know, it's always great to get different fans on, get different opinions. And especially on the United show, to get opposition fans on too. It's always great to hear kind of clubs too, you know, because at the end of the day, it's always good to have a broad mindset. Yeah, absolutely. But looking ahead, obviously, Sunday, big talking point. Score predictions. I'm going to come to all you guys. Last time I predicted United win. I was so confident the last time. This time I'm not so confident. I'm actually very, to be quite honest with regards to the game. But I'm going to come to the panel first with regards to their score predictions and see how they feel. Sal, coming to you first. How are you feeling about the game Sunday?
I'm not confident. The first thought that comes to my head is draw. I feel like it's going to be a draw, 1-1 or 0-0, something like that. You know, we may nick it, but the first thought that comes to my head, draw. When I think about Tottenham and United right now.
Yeah, there's a very big possibility. We consider both teams won't want to lose this game, considering where they are. It's a very big possibility. Shane, how are you feeling?
I think 1-1, because I just think like it suits Ollie to the ground. You know, United, barring something fucking mad happens, top 4 is sorted, you know, so there's really no need to go out and risk losing. I think the 6-1 will be in his head, even though it shouldn't be, because like Steve said, and like Joseph said, it was like a freak result. So I don't think he should really have that in his mind going in, but I'd say he will. So he won't want to take any risks, which is annoying. He's very much like, what this season has taught me is that whatever you think of him as a coach, he's very much pragmatic. Like he's not a defensive coach, but he kind of is at the same time. Do you know what I mean? He
moneyballs it.
Yeah, he really doesn't like taking the risk. Like even you see in the game last night when we went 1-0 up, he really didn't want to push on for a second, you know. And that has happened a lot this season where we've gotten one and we've kind of really taken the foot off the pedal. We've set up like shooting ourselves in the foot because he wants to go at McFred to make us solid, and he knows that we're giving up so much going forward when you play both of them, and that's why there were so many 0-0s in the big games. So I don't think he'll risk it. It's hard to argue why he would risk it, I suppose, because he doesn't have to. So yeah, I think 1-1. I think Kane and fucking Bruno. Let's go.
So we've got 2 1-1s. Steve, are you feeling
I'm not going to deviate.
I'm
not going to deviate from the draw. I think as like the second Sal said it, when I think of this game, I think it has draw written all over, but I think it's going to be 2-2. I'm actually going to back 2-2 as well. I just feel both defenses are a little prone, and I definitely don't trust the Spurs defense to only concede 1 goal. And like, look, I know it's a meme at this stage, but United have had a penalty in the last 3 games against us. So I feel there's one in the game. So I think 2-2. And I think Lucas and Kane.
Another Harry Kane goal against United. maybe I didn't say at the start. You weren't here at the start, but maybe it's an audition, Steve. Maybe it's an audition. But I'm actually. Do you know what? I was thinking draw, but do you know what? I have to be positive. I just have to be. I'm gonna say United win. On Sunday, I just have to because I can never say we won't win a game of football. I just can't do it. So I'm going to go 2-1 United win, and I'm going to go with Rashford to get a brace. Man, no Bruno Fernandes penalty this weekend.
Rashford's performance against Spurs at Old Trafford last year is his best performance to United, man. And I was so fucking happy because, like it was the thing, like Sal was saying earlier about him and Mourinho, when Mourinho turned around to the fans and that. It was very much like Mourinho kind of doubted him maybe a bit or something, but he definitely had that chip on his shoulder, and I think that's still to this day. I think that's his best performance for United. He was just so good that day. It was brought a tear to my eye, to be honest, man. He's my guy.
I think that and the PSG away game this season, I think one of his best performances in United shirt. He played outstanding, and Leipzig comes to mind this year as well at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I think he was sick. I don't think actually good against PSG. This season, but that is one thing I like about what he's managed to do this season. Like he showed he's maturing, is that he does, like, he might not be having a good game, he might be having a fucking horrible game, but he still pop up with a goal or assist. So that's what like players kick on. When they're not playing well, they still affect the game. I think like Martial is very much a player where I like Martial, but I think he's very much a player. If he's not playing well, he's not going to affect the game at all. He's not the type of player to be like he'll be having a bad game, but it still pop up with a goal or something. And I think that separates the good players from the very good players.
Yeah, and I just want to make something clear as well, because I made it something clear on the show.
I was going to say that reminds me of Son. When Son is having a bad game, he has a stinker.
Yeah,
Son isn't the kind and I know like Pochettino always kept him on. Jose rarely substitutes him as well. But like when he's having a bad game, he's having a really bad game. But I feel like he's left on because he's Son. But it's actually
Pogba is the same, and it's like they don't. If you're having a bad game, you should simplify your game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very much. Pogba will give the ball away with a stupid pass. So then he'll get the ball again and he'll be like, right, I gave away a minute ago, so I need to do something deadly to make up for it. Try and win the game with the next pass instead of just simplifying it, just to make work his way back into it. I think Son is kind of similar.
Yeah, I think
absolutely. Both very good players. I think, in my opinion, I think we look at the top three left wingers in the Premier League this year: Grealish, Rashford, Son. I think you have to look at that and say they're probably the three best left wingers in the Premier League this year. But we're going to wrap up there tonight with regards to tonight's show. So thanks to Steve, thanks to Sal, thanks to Shane, all for coming on here tonight. Obviously, you can catch both Sal and Steve on both social media platforms and both kind of what they do. So I'm going to give the lads a chance to shout out where you can catch them. Sal, coming to you first.
Yeah, at Stretford Post on Twitter.
Yep, so catch us YouTube channel and on Twitter as well. And Steve, recently, Pure Tipperary Radio, recently started. So where can people catch you there?
It's at Pure Radio Tip on Twitter. PureRadio.ie. I'm on there every Monday to Friday from 4 until 7 on the drive time, and my Twitter handle is there.
Yeah, so if you want to see Steve, any bit of sarcasm or winding up some Arsenal fans, do check him out on Twitter. He's notorious for doing that. For once, Shane doesn't have his Twitter handle here. So Shane, give our viewers, if they're not following you already with your Manchester United sarcasm, where can our viewers find you?
Follow me on Twitter at Shane Dowley 97. I don't know why you would, but if you do, that's where you can find me. I've been laying low the last couple of weeks.
In preparation for this game.
Yeah.
You'll find your password Sunday evening if you win.
Do check all the lads out on Twitter. Do check Sal out on YouTube as well. And do check out Steve on the radio as well. All do great things. And look, as always, as you can see in my Twitter handle there, at Keane_Franey. If you want to see me banter some Liverpool fans, drop some Bruno propaganda daily, you know where to catch me. So you can catch it right there on Twitter, as the handle says, at Keane_Franey. But that's the show wrapped up for tonight. Thanks to the panel again for coming on, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Keane. Pleasure to meet you, Sal.
Yes, man. You too.
Thanks.